Hello guys, welcome to Inside Electronics. So in today's episode, let's take a look at something that I found in my attic. This time this is a vintage mosquito repellent, an electronic mosquito repellent from the 90s. See, this thing is actually really simple. It's really compact. You can fit it inside your hand, and in fact, guess what? Guess what this thing is made from? They actually reused an off-the-shelf component. You know, in the early 90s, cassettes were very much popular. They're pretty much like the MP3s nowadays. So guess what, they actually used a cassette tape holder to build their own thing. And this thing is actually made by a company called BPH, a scientific product from BPH. You can see a girl sleeping in a peaceful sleep, sweet dreams, no match, no smoke, no electricity. That's not true because it uses battery, so that's not true. Non-injurious, and you can see a hole right there that is for the speaker, and there is a switch on the side, an on-off switch, two screws holding the cap. In fact, let me show you cassette real quick. I already got this handy. See, this is exactly a cassette deck, a cassette compact cassette storage thing. They actually used a screw, and they actually used a plastic black thing to prevent people from peeing like what, I mean, to prevent people from actually seeing what's inside, I guess. And this is why I said it's vintage 90s. This was bought at 150 rupees back in the day. 150 rupees is like, a lot here. And it is made on the date is not actually visible. There was a date code and the ink is actually fading away, but a date, it's manufactured on that date, December 1991. So this thing is like what, 16 17 18 years old. And the interesting thing about this thing is not anything like that. Look at the batch number, 004. So this thing is from an initial, the production began, and this is the thing that came out, the first initial batches. That makes it really special. You're holding something that just out in the market back in the day. And this BPH stands for business powerhouse, house of world class utility products. And back on the other side, it's the same real thing. And this thing is on my grandpa. And he actually has a lot of these kind of novelty items in his like, what do you say, they're in a briefcase. So yeah, let's take it apart and see what's actually inside. This thing is battery. I've already taken this apart before because I just want to see if things work, and this thing actually works. And they actually use two screws to prevent this thing from getting opened at an unwanted time. So that's really inside. And see that this is a clever trick. The people who designed it actually was thinking at the moment, because you see in a regular cassette deck, like cassette holder like this, you can see two tabs on top like that actually locks onto this piece right there to hold everything in place. They actually drilled a hole at exactly that point, so they're using the built-in locks itself, and they're also using two screws for additional protection. And inside, this is all it is. If I can adjust the exposure a little bit, you can see a battery holder. It works on a single AA battery, and the battery goes straight to the on-off switch, and there it is. This is where the business happens. And they actually, look at that, they actually ported that thing in resin. Let me open it for you. I already opened this thing before, as I mentioned, but let's do it again anyways. So this thing, they actually ported it to prevent people from stealing their design. I mean, it's just, you just saw that it's an initial product. This is just out in the market, so it's in the fourth batch. So they actually need to prevent people from trying to copying what they are actually designed. So basically all this is is a circuit board, and this is actually hard plastic. I tried to burn it. You can see the burn mark over there. I tried to apply some heat so that if it melts away, but it didn't. It actually burned it. So it's hard plastic. You can see the transistor over there, and they actually did it to prevent people from stealing their design. But this thing is really simple. In fact, if I can find, let me find a battery. I'm going to get a battery from my clock right here. This thing is damaged. They're using a piece of styrofoam to give the, I don't know whether you can see that, I mean whether you can hear that, but it certainly is making a beeping sound. And the theory behind these things is they are actually designed for generating a very high frequency sound so that it scares away the mosquitoes. In fact, this thing is really similar in operation with this thing, a GM mosquito repeller. This thing operates on AC mains, this thing operates on DC. That's it, entirely difference here. I already made a video about this thing. You can watch it by clicking the I button up here, and also the link will be in the description down below. That's going to be the only difference. And this thing, let me show you that instead of using 3 terminals, like nowadays every piezo element has a third terminal, that's the feedback terminal. Let me show you if I can find the piezo element. This is my part pin, and let me see if I can find, yeah, there it is. Here's the piezo element right here, and you can see 3 pins. This outer metallic thing is acting as a pin, and the inner silver pin is the second one, and this thing is a feedback. So these are actually used, these kind of piezo elements are actually used for self-excited buzzers and things like that. But this thing, because it uses only 2 active elements, see, it does not have any kind of feedback mechanism, so it has a built-in it's a continuous cycle generator. The best guess I'm having is it is going to be a single transistor right there, because in most of the cases that is the case. That has to be the transistor based on that black thing over there, and you can see a little bit of things happening inside there. See that? So I can see a transistor. Definitely that is going to be a transistor that these 3 pins are, and I'm seeing a diode or resistor or something that I cannot make out through this hole. I created that hole. I just want to see if I can by any means take out that. So this is going to be really simple oscillator circuit, and this oscillator will consist of a transistor, probably an inductor, because of such high frequency requirements for this piezo element. It's going to be an inductive inductor, a capacitor probably, and some resistors. Basically, this is a very simple transistor based oscillator that is designed in a way that it oscillates at much higher frequencies so that it can vibrate the piezo element. So, and look what's interesting, they actually left the tabs right there. These are used to hold the cassettes in place. They didn't even bother to cut that away. So it is actually nice to see something from that era using off-the-shelf components and trying to hide things from general public and other companies from stealing their design. So yeah, that is how this thing works. Thanks for watching. See you in another video.